Vegas, and welcome to Face the Tribune with the legendary Rolando Larraz. We are so blessed today to have with us First Chief Justice Cedric Kerns today on our show. And with that, Rolando, how are you feeling today?
I don't feel too hard, but I'm here because I don't want to miss the opportunity of sitting next to my old friend, Chief Judge Cedric Kerns.
Right.
And because he's running for re-election, right?
I am.
Well, first of all, welcome.
Welcome
to Face the Tribune.
Thank you both for having me here today.
You know, we were just talking because Judge Kerns' daughter used to have a radio show here.
Oh.
And actually, you know who also had the radio show? Adriana Escobar.
Oh, really? See, small.
No, her daughter.
Oh, her daughter. Okay.
Her daughter.
See, when my daughter was younger, I think she was 16.
Mm-hmm.
She had a little radio show where she'd come on and she'd talk about her singing career, and she would have friends who would come on and sing. And I was just telling Rolando that she's now got her own band, and she plays like at EM. And
She's a big shot now.
Yeah.
Oh, good. That's
Now,
one thing she don't
now I'm
recognize.
known as Nicole's father.
That's what happens too. That's the truth.
But you're very proud of that.
Oh,
Yeah.
let me tell you, that's where success is in your children.
That's right.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Anyway, you've been judge now for what, 20 years, right?
It'll be 20 years in 97.
I remember when you first took over, I said, don't you look too young?
Yes, he does.
Yeah?
Yes,
You know what? I don't have that problem anymore. For the first 10 years, people would say, "Oh, you're a judge. I'm like, how old are you?"
Right.
I remember when I was out campaigning for the first time, what I had to do is I had to send my children to the door first. Because if I had children, I had to be old enough to be a judge. So I'd send the children and say, "Hey, my dad's ready for judge." And then they say, "Dad, come on." And then they say, "You're the dad." And I had to tell them, I've been an attorney for a long time.
How about the oldest one? How's she doing?
She's doing great. She just took a job with Metro. She's on the civil side, and she will be a victim advocate.
Oh, wow.
And so she's, my eldest daughter is getting her license in addiction counseling, and she's working as a victim advocate. My middle daughter has her master's in addiction counseling, and she works for American Addictions. And my son was a correction officer at the prison in Salt Lake, and he just became SWAT. So my son's going to be SWAT in Salt Lake.
Oh, wow.
So
Congratulations.
thanks. I'm telling you, that's how, a lot of us, that's how we know whether or not we're successful, or that's how we feel whether we're successful.
Oh, no, you're right.
Is by seeing our kids. And
You started a lot of programs in the court system and the muni court system, right? You started.
I started a lot of the problem-solving courts. The first one I started was the habitual offender court. We started that, I want to say, about 13 years ago, and my original 25 defendants were arrested over 3,000 times in their lifetime. Metro came to me and they said, "We got to take care of this habitual offender problem." And I went, "What habitual offender problem?" So they gave me these 25 defendants that were getting arrested more than 33 times a year. And so the reason why they asked me to do it, because at the time, I was the toughest sentencer. And they thought, "Oh, this guy will just hammer them." They had no idea that what we were going to do was actually fix the problem. And so the 33 arrests have turned into 3 arrests. We have some of my graduates still from then keep in touch with me. As a matter of fact, the second female graduate from my HOPE program is now a counselor for me. She works for me.
Wow.
Which is kind of neat.
That's cool.
And sometimes the guys come back. A few months ago, one of my old graduates came up to the court, and he had the Serenity Prayer for me. And I said, "Morris, where'd you get this?"
That's the black guy, the heavy set black guy?
No, that's Brett works for me too. But this was one of the other guys. He said, "I saw it at a store and I felt you needed it." And so he brought it up to me, which is kind of neat.
What did he buy?
The Serenity Prayer, the plaque.
Uh-huh.
But I don't know how many judges out there can say that the defendants come visit them and let them know how well they're doing. So after I started the HOPE program, then Judge Brown and I, we debate this all the time on who started the WIN program. I like to say I started, he thinks he started it. The reality is, I found the first participant, and he's the one who handled the court. So he really started it, but I like to take the credit. Yeah. And what it is, it's a trauma court for women. And Judge Leung does that now. And
how did that work?
That's, you know what, that's a dynamite court. If I could give you just a little bit story of one of the girls from the court. Yeah. I see her in the hallway, and I ask her, I said, so what's changed? You've been in this program for a few months. What's changed? And she said, when I wake up in the morning, I recognize the ceiling. And I looked at her, I said, I don't get it. And she said, before I was in the program, when I would wake up in the morning, I'd look at the ceiling. If I didn't recognize it, I had to find an escape plan because I knew I was going to get beat. And I thought, and I said to her, I said, you know, I don't even know what my ceiling looks like. And she said, Judge, because you didn't do what I did. And for me, that was so profound to think that that's what you have to worry about every morning. Today, she's actually in college, and she's doing great. But those are some of the successes. And what I do now is I do the youth offender court. Now, these are kids between 18 and 24 who suffer with addiction. And what's so special about this court, it's the only court like this in the nation, where it's an adult court, but I mandate family participation. So I won't take you in the court unless your parents participate or your significant other one participates or your family participates. And this is why. Why do we work so hard on one individual if we're going to send them back to the toxic background from when they came from?
Right.
So as I'm working on the addiction of the individual, at the same time we're working on the enabling of the family. And when I talked about as a parent that I get my success from seeing how my kids do, these parents also see them as failures when their kids are out there using. And so we have to convince them that it's truly a disease. And when these kids are caught up in that, it's not really their issue, it's the kids' issues. And we got to let them move on with their life.
Is it a kid issue?
Yeah, the kids are the ones who are involved in the addiction, but somehow our parents become addicted to the children. So what I mean by that is they live the child's addiction. They start hiding their kids.
Of course, but that would be,
but we get
spouses will do the same thing.
But we get them to stop that. And that's part of what we do is we teach them, first of all, that no is a complete sentence. You don't have to explain to them. They say, why not? You should say no. And you're done. We teach them that you can tell your children,
you're right, you're right.
I love you too much to watch you make these bad decisions. So while you're making these bad decisions, I cannot be part of your life. I wish you the best of luck. And when you get it together, you can come back and visit the family. That's very, very difficult. But it helps with the family.
My dad did that to me.
And look at you now. It worked, right?
Absolutely.
But you were not involved in drugs, right?
No, well, I was gangbanging.
But you're making bad decisions,
right? Gang. I was affected. My dad had 7 kids. I went on to have 7 children. It's amazing how you become your parents. I tell my wife that all the time. And my dad, when he realized what I was doing, and I had been lying to him for months, I was telling him I was working at McDonald's, and I was actually out hanging with the gangs. And he had people call him and say, your son is down here on the corner. He's not at work. And, of course, I was doing things for them and making money, way more than you would be making at a McDonald's job. And one night, I came in, and I was so drunk, and I told my wife the story, that I used to always sleep in the living room because he had a lot of kids, and you had to find a place to sleep. And my pockets were so full of money that they were hurting me because I was sleeping on my stomach. And if you've ever went to sleep with a lot of stuff in your pockets, you're like, what is this? And I took the money out, and I put it on the living room table, and I fell out. And when I woke up, I saw my dad's feet. And I was like, the first thing I thought about was the money. I said, oh, man. And I looked up, and I saw the money on the table, and I saw my dad's face, and he went.
And I bet you thank him every day for that.
My wife did. I called him a month ago, and I started crying when he was crying on the phone. And I said that was the best thing we ever did. And we are best friends to this day. And years later, I went there. I said, why did you do that? He said, because if I'd allowed you to do it, everybody would have done it. He said, I had to make an example out of you because you were my favorite and we were the closest. So they would have thought I was allowing you to do that. And how would they have looked at me for allowing you to do that? So he said, I had to put you out. And it was the best thing that ever happened to me in my life.
A very wise thing. A very wise thing.
Absolutely.
Because had he let you to continue that, we wouldn't be here today,
No.
I don't think. I don't think there was any good from there. And that's what we try and teach our parents to do. We try and teach our parents to say, look, you've got to be accountable. You have got to be accountable.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
You on the air? Hello?
Hi, is Leander?
Who? We on the air now. You need to call back later.
Okay.
I think they need a delivery or something.
It may be a holiday.
Delivery? Anyway, so now after 20 years, you're gonna go another 6-year term?
I do. I want to do one more term, and I think, at this point, I think it may be my last term. But who knows when you get there. But I want to do one more. I've done so much that I'm not finished with yet. The Yo Court is still in its early development.
But let me ask you, do you need to be a judge in order to accomplish any of those programs? Or you can
Well,
keep
I can tell you this.
participating in
I can tell you this, that I don't believe that there's any judge who can do what I'm doing, even the existing judges, because of my commitment to the program.
Right.
I understand addiction as well as any judge out there. As a matter of fact, I teach at it with regards to addiction and family addiction and treatment courts. I lecture about specialty courts. So can I continue what I'm doing? Yes. Can I have the same impact to the community? No. I have leverage that no one else gets, and I get to use the kids as leverage for the parents. I tell the parents, look, here's the deal. If you want your kid out of custody, you'll do what I ask you to do. And so the kids actually go to counseling. And what I tell the parents, if the day's done, the only thing I can guarantee you is that your kid will stay clean for the 2 years that they're in the program. What they do after that, that's up to them.
And actually, after you got 2 years clean,
It
you
sure
probably
makes it
stay clean.
The numbers aren't great.
No?
And because of this age group, remember, it's 18 to 24, and the frontal cortex hasn't connected with the midbrain yet, so they're still motivated by fun, but a lot of them do. A lot of them do. One of my graduates is a manager at a restaurant where she hires some of my active participants. One of my graduates works for Odyssey House, and he's a counselor for the youth. One of my graduates actually owns the franchise of the first Firehouse Subs where she worked. One of my graduates is active in the Foundation for Recovery. So these are my graduates, and we get in touch with them still. And the great part is my parents stay active. So I'm gonna tell you the story about one of my graduates, okay? She did well. She started at 18. She was the youngest kid I've ever had in my program because she just turned 18 and was unlucky enough to end up in my court. She did well. She graduated, and the parents did great too. But she thought she could drink. So after she graduated, she starts drinking. So it's been 2 years, and she wandered into my court 3 weeks ago. She comes to my court. She's in there. Just recently, she's in my court, and she says to me, Judge, you need to lock me up. I said, I can't. She said, you have to lock me up because I'm going to die. Look at me. I'm 5'7", and I'm 88 pounds. And I tell her, I can't lock you up. I don't have a case for you. I can't lock you up. So you have to leave. And she said, I can't leave or I'm going to die. I said, now listen, I'm giving you a judicial order. You have to leave or I'm going to have to lock you up. And she said, I'm not leaving. And I said, then I have to hold you in contempt. And so I locked her up.
And that was an open court, or that was
open court? There's a disc. You can get a video of it.
Oh.
And so she says, thank you. And so I locked her up. But the jail calls me and they want to do a medical OR because she needs a medical detox because she's not doing well and they have to get her to the hospital. And I said, no, we're not going to do a medical OR. So I go to one of the treatment facilities where I know and I say, listen, I need you to do me a favor. I have this young girl that came to court. We're worried she's going to die if she doesn't do a medical detox. So I need you to do the medical detox here. And the guy at the treatment facility says, okay, well, we have room. It'll take 15 days. It's so many $1,000s. And I said, well,
That's the favor.
that's the favor.
That's the favor.
And they took her in. And she still looks awful thin, but she's gained about 15 pounds. She's doing well.
Was she drinking or drugs?
It was heroin and Xanax.
Oh, yeah.
It was heroin and Xanax. But here's where it happened. Here's why she came in. Her parents were able to tell her, you can't be around our family while you're like this. And so everyone she knew was able to take that position that we cannot support this. She came in and turned herself in
And you
so we
know,
can save her.
let me tell you, that is the ignorance that I always maintain. How can this person turn their back on their children? How can they let them go? You know, I don't have any children. You know that. I don't have any experience with kids. And I always say, why these parents turn their back on the kids?
I'm gonna tell you why, and let me explain it to you, okay?
But now I'm understanding a little bit.
I'm
you
gonna
know?
tell you why, and this is how I explain it to my parents. It's a disease. Addiction's a disease, and so I'm gonna use a disease as an example. There's a disease out there called lupus, and what lupus is, it's an autoimmune disease to where when you get sick, your body not only releases so many antibodies that they attack the bad cells, but they attack the good cells. So when you get sick and the doctor doesn't know you have lupus, and you go to the doctor and you're sick, what does the doctor give you? Antibiotics.
Exactly.
So the doctor's giving you what's killing you. And so many people with lupus, they get diagnosed because they go to the doctor gives you antibiotics, and they end up in the emergency room. So the idea is, when you have lupus and people get sick, you have to treat it almost opposite as you would as a normal person without disease. Addiction's the same way. When someone has addiction and they're sick, and what we call their active addiction, and if you treat them the same way you do normal kids, which is you love them, you help them, you help them succeed, you're doing exactly what the doctor would do when he gives you antibiotics if you have lupus. You're doing exactly the opposite of what you need to do. So when someone's suffering from addiction and you take them in and you feed them, all you're doing them is you're helping their disease. So you have to cut them out to let them know that I'm not going to support this. It seems antithetical. But remember, we're raised with we do everything we can for our children. That's how we're raised. And we're raised that when stuff is bad at home, we don't talk about it.
Yeah. Oh,
You don't talk about it.
that's one thing that really drives me crazy.
So what happens with the parents is their kids are suffering with addiction, and the parents are trying to help them. They're giving them money, they're giving them bus passes, they're doing this, and they're not telling anybody, so no one can give them the right way to do it. And by the time they have to tell people, they're in front of me. And so what we do is we try and educate the parents that, first of all, you're not alone. You're not alone in this. There's no reason that you need to be isolated. And we try and teach them what we can do for our kids to help them through the addiction. And it's amazing. The kids say that the thing that helps them the most is structure and accountability. Once they were accountable for their bad actions, they learned that there are consequences.
That's what my dad used to always tell me. He used to say, listen, there's nothing wrong with you going out in the corner and hanging with them. There's nothing wrong with me locking my door and taking my keys back. We both can I'm making the best decision for me. You making the best
What you gotta do, I'm gonna do what I gotta do.
I gotta do. Absolutely.
So,
Yeah.
in those 20 years, you never thought about going to a higher court?
No, I can tell you I have not, and let me tell you why. I wake up every day knowing I make a difference. Every single day I know I make an impact on someone's life.
Are you telling me people in higher courts don't make a difference?
Some of them do. The drug courts do. They do. But I have a lot of freedom. I'm lucky enough that I have some great support from the funding body, which is the city council. I have great support from the other judges in municipal court. It's why would I want to hop in something different when I know I'm succeeding now? I think that, yeah,
And you're making a difference.
I believe I am.
Yeah, that's what I mean. And you're making
Just-
a difference.
Just yesterday, last night, we had a chili cook-off for Yale Court. And it really wasn't a chili cook-off because only half the people made chili, and I panicked and I ordered pizza because I didn't know how many would be there. But I got to sit there and watch the kids and their families spend time together where the kids were sober. And they got to talk about neat things. And the kids didn't have to lie, which is something that, you know, where'd that money go? Oh, I had a flat tire, I had this. The kids got to be honest. Now, there were some rules. The rules were you weren't allowed to talk about drugs, you weren't allowed to talk about money, and you weren't allowed to talk about court. It was crazy how silent it was for the first while because they were trying to figure out what to talk about. But it was a great experience because afterwards some of the family members got up and got to talk about how their life has changed because of what they've done in Yale
You
Court.
spend time after the court hours with your students.
We spend time all the time. And I'm going to give you an example of just how crazy I am on the bench, okay? This is an example.
I know, I've seen you on the bench.
This-
You're on the bench. You can be
Yeah.
mean.
I'm not mean.
You can be mean.
I-
I've seen you be
I can be strict.
Strict. Okay, yeah.
But
Okay.
here's the deal. If you're an 18 to 24-year-old kid who's used to going back and forth to jail, right? And I tell you, you're going to stay out of trouble, you're going to go to counseling, and you're going to stay clean, or I'm going to lock you up for 2 days. That's no threat. They're used to going to jail. But if I say this to you, I want you to go to all your counseling. You're going to stay clean. You're going to go to all your meetings. Your room's going to stay clean. Because if you do that, next Thursday, we're going to play paintball. And you got a shot at me. If you don't, you're going to go to jail. They don't care about the jail. But everyone's going to be in perfect compliance because they think they're going to have a shot at me at paintball. And so we operate on incentive base. We do things where kids want to do it. Whether they want to do it to stay clean or not, that's irrelevant to me because it's going to get there. They want to do it. They do it. And once they stay clean, the brain starts working. Once they go to counseling, they start understanding why they make the decisions. Once they go to meetings, they start to get a family. And I start succeeding. And it's all based on incentives. They're 18 to 24. Their minds are like 12 and 13-year-olds. Because their brain is where they started using. And the great thing about it is I have a good alumni system. So my alumni stay involved. And, you know, I had some alumni who got to speak to the kids yesterday, and he actually said, I'm soft now. He said, I was much stricter 4 years ago when I started. But that's what it's about. It's about seeing the kids. They know they'll go to jail. They know they'll go to jail if they violate. As a matter of fact, they come to court, and they let me know what their violation was, and they let me know on our rule book how many days they go to jail. And we take care of it. I say, okay, well, you weren't supposed to do this. What does the rule book say? And they say 2 days. I say, okay, well, you want to start your 2 days now? You want to do it on the weekend? But it's accountable. And they start weighing it, and they start making the right decisions.
It's a balance.
It
is a balance.
It really is about accountability. It's about understanding addiction. It's about
Is there any
understanding
other
mind
program that you would like to see done? Any other program? I know that
But
other judges have.
let me tell
done
you
the
what I
other-
think would be a really neat program. It would be what I would call a WIT court, or whatever it takes. Because we have drug court. You have to meet certain qualifications to be in drug court. We have WIT court. You have to have trauma. You have to have other to meet WIT court. We have problem-solving courts like Yale Court. You have to be 18 to 24. But what if we just had a problem-solving court that no matter what it took to get you out of the system, that was what we would work on? So you come into the program, and let's say your problem is you need hearing aids, which seems silly, but we had a guy that was always in our court, and the problem was he couldn't hear what was going on.
Oh, yeah.
So he would drink and he'd use because he always felt out of place. We got him some hearing aids, and we haven't seen him since. He's been great. But if we had a
Maybe he
program,
sold the hearing.
no, he's fine. But if you had a program that said, what does it take to get you out of the system? If it's education, if it's a driver's license, if it's addiction, whatever it takes, let's focus on getting you out of the system. That would be a fun specialty court. That would be fun, because some of them really may only need a hand up. They may only need employment.
What's holding you up?
Oh, I'm busy.
Yeah.
I'm trying to talk another judge, a good friend of mine, into starting something like that.
Oh, he will do it.
I'm trying to get him too.
That's a wonderful
So-
I tell you, you guys have a pretty good team right now. I believe you guys have a pretty good team.
We're blessed with the fact that we get along.
I remember the time where it was not getting along
Right.
in that court.
We had some issues, but we're blessed with the fact today that we have 6 judges who get along, and we all have the same goal in mind. All of us in that court, our goal is to do what's best for the community.
And most of them don't want to go to any higher court or anything.
No.
They're happy with it. Like, for example, I was talking to Abby Silver yesterday, you know, she became the Chief Justice, right?
Yeah, at the appellate court.
No.
No, Abby Silver is the Chief Justice of the appellate court. There's.
She's not in the Supreme Court. She
No,
she took Nancy Saidas.
No, she
Right.
didn't. She did not. She's the Chief Appellate Justice. And I didn't know she was chief. You just told me that, but I knew she was an appellate judge. The judge that took Nancy Saidas' place was a district court judge up north. Abby didn't even try for that. Abby was a muni court judge. Then she went to district court. I should say Justice Silver. And then she went to
But
the
you know,
appellate
it
court.
was funny because the same day that she became Muni Court judge, no, I'm telling you why. Justice Cherry is not the Chief Justice anymore. She became the Chief Justice.
No. She's the
For
Chief
them, I had
Justice.
that wrong.
She's the Chief Appellate. She's still called a Justice, but she's the Chief Justice of the Appellate Court. There's her,
Gibbons
Gibbons.
and Tao.
Tao. They are the Appellate Court.
Right.
Abby did not apply for the Supreme Court. She will, and Abby will get
She
there.
will.
She's.
But it's funny
She's very
because the
good.
same day that she became Muni Court
It was the
judge,
same day they voted her as chief.
Cherry became justice.
Right.
And now I thought Cherry was giving her the baton.
No,
but I think
no,
I
it's
wrote
for,
it.
it's for the appellate. It's for
I
the
think
appellate.
I wrote it. I wrote it in the paper. If I did,
I think you
have
might be
to-
incorrect.
I am incorrect.
Yeah, I think you
I'm
might.
not going to argue with you.
She's not on the Nevada Supreme Court. But
She's a good lady.
she's awful
She did,
smart.
and I tell you, but
She's-
and I for a while I wasn't too happy with her because I don't believe people should be going two. But she went from Muni Court to Justice Court to District Court.
Well, but she's qualified. I mean, as an appellate court judge, she's sat at every level. So when people are arguing, she knows exactly what's happening. I can't think of anyone more qualified to be there than her. So you got an appeal in Muni Court, she knows what happens in Muni Court. You got an appeal in Justice Court, she knows what happens. You have an appeal in District Court, she knows. I can't think of anyone more qualified than that.
Yeah, but I look at it the other way around. You look at it the judicial way. I look at it as a human being way.
Because we're not human.
How can she go against you when she share an office with you? When I never believe that I believe that the Supreme Court and now Appellate Court should be people that have no contact with the court system.
Well, I can tell you this about Justice Silver. She would have no problems reversing any of us if we were incorrect. She would have no problem.
Okay.
She would have no
Okay.
problem saying, Cedric, you're my friend, but you messed this up. It's about right and wrong. I can tell you that. Sometimes we could question that with appellate judges and say, well, they may make an issue here, but I would tell you this, because you may question that, but I would tell you,
That's why I hate
Abby will
talking
do
to
what's
you.
right.
That's why I hate talking to you.
And why is that?
Because you always come out with the dry answer. I hate that. Because, I mentioned that before. I said, how can you go against somebody then you go to lunch with, or you share the same room, or you have a cup of coffee in the office. You know, like prosecutors, they all want to be judges. How can you tell another prosecutor when you're sitting over there with the black robe, well, you know, we're going and
I can.
vote against?
I will let
But
you
now
this.
you got
I
got an answer.
I have
You got
friends.
an answer.
I
Yeah.
have friends who are prosecutors. I have friends who are defense attorneys. We're friends. They understand that I have a job to do, and I do my job, and that's what people don't understand with judges, right? And this is interesting. People think when judges make a bad decision that it doesn't affect us the same way. What they don't understand is we are part of the community. I grew up in this community. My kids grew up in this community. I coach soccer here. If I make a decision that affects my community negatively, it affects me too. But I have to do what the law requires, whether I like it or not. The law is clear. And sometimes I make decisions that I know are not going to be best for what's going on around where I live. But I know it's what the law requires. And judges think, oh, they're making that decision and they don't care about the community. Well, they're dead wrong because we are the community too. We don't all live in, some castle somewhere where we don't get affected. We are part of this community at every level.
No, I
District,
never
Supreme
said
Court.
that. I never said that. I said I assume that it's difficult for you to say, hey, let's use Bert Brown. Bert Brown, you did well, but you know we're friends. Oh, okay, so you're really in favor of Bert Brown. You know, I'm using that as an
and I get
example.
that, but I
You
have
know,
to tell
that's
you,
what I'm saying.
you have it really does all boil down to integrity.
Because he's your partner in crime.
Oh, and if you don't think for 1 second if Brown made a mistake, I wouldn't let him know. If you don't think for 1 mistake, if 1 second if I made a mistake, he wouldn't let me know. It all boils down to integrity and what's right and wrong. And just like you have some doctors who may make questionable decisions, you have judges who make questionable decisions, you have attorneys that make questionable decisions, you have to have faith in the system. And
Maybe that's my problem.
I'm comfortable
Maybe that's my problem.
that the judges I work with, I'm comfortable with where they are in making the right decision for the right reason. Doesn't mean we don't make mistakes. Because there's a lot of times when we walk into the other and we're saying, you know what, I think I may have botched that. And we get to talk about it. And we get to figure out,
how to fix it.
what we do. And that's why it's really important that you actually have judges you trust and you're friends with when you're in my position. So I can go to any one of the judges and say, I'm really curious on this issue, and we can debate it. And we hopefully come to the right decision most of the time.
Yeah, but when you make the wrong decision, maybe not you can send people to prison too, right?
No, I can only send people to jail.
Okay.
180 days in custody. But sometimes
when
they
you send
have
somebody
felonies that if I
you
mess
send
up, they go
somebody to prison, like every once in a while, some guy did 20 years in prison, and then they find out that he was innocent, or one guy was 38 years. 38 years, Cedric.
I can only tell you this, that the system is not perfect,
Oh, God.
but it's the best system in the world. It's not perfect. And sometimes things happen. Now remember that the evidence that's in front of the judges is not beyond all doubt. It's beyond a reasonable doubt. And it's got to be based on the evidence that's in front of us. And sometimes the evidence in front of us would make us believe that they're guilty or not guilty. And if you're going to prison, remember it's a jury. It's a jury of peers in most cases. It's 12 people who are figuring it out.
Yeah.
And so it's not the one judge. The judge is controlling the rules of evidence, but they're not controlling
But the jury
guilt or
doesn't sentence the jury. The judge is the one that.
Yeah, the judge, unless it's a death penalty case. But the judge is the one that decides. And remember how sentencing comes along. A lot of times is based on someone's history.
But I tell you, I think if I was that judge, after I sent somebody to prison,
It'd be hard to sleep at night.
It would be hard to sleep at night. You know?
And there's a lot of things that people don't understand the pressure of being a judge. I have pressure sometimes where I have a battery domestic violence, right? So I have one spouse who beats up the other spouse, and it's a dangerous situation. And then at sentencing, the other spouse is saying, he's the only one that makes money. If you lock him up, we don't have any food. We will be homeless. And that's a lot of pressure because it's like, okay, but I need to keep you safe. And so when we're faced with, well, we don't do that. But I'm telling you what, we have a lot of decisions on what we have to do where there's significant impact.
Like, for example, sometimes the decisions are made, and I seen you, and I seen Judge Heidi, what's her name? Amasi, make a decision. You guys explain sometimes why you're making that decision, you know. But for example, and this has nothing to do with you, that's why I'm using it as Christine Lobato. She was not here. She was not in Las Vegas when the crime was committed. She had a group that was going to pay for the DNA to prove, and the district attorney's office, the prosecutor, I don't think the district attorney, well, I don't know, that was David Rogers, possible, but they refused to allow her to present the DNA. If you are so sure that your case is so perfect and so narrow, why not make the people prove that they are wrong?
I have to tell you that I don't know anything about the case.
I know.
I don't know how the DNA was taken, so I really.
It wasn't taken.
Well, I can't comment on
something
I have no idea.
I don't want you to comment. I'm just telling you, this is the kind of thing that bothers me when they cannot explain why they're doing something. I seen you in court. I seen Bert Brown in court. I seen Heidi in court. I never been in Susan Rogers' court, but I hear that she's doing a pretty good job. You know.
What we want people to do is we want people to understand why we came to our decision.
Right.
So they can at least say, I agree with you or don't agree with you, but it makes sense.
Exactly.
So
that's my point. Maybe I don't.
If I can give you or articulate to you why I came out with the decision, you at least know where I came from. And you can disagree with me or agree with me, but you know where I came from.
Because it seems capricious.
So that's what we try to do.
It seems capricious. If she can prove that she's not the guilty person by the DNA, why the prosecutors are so emphatically against her presenting DNA?
I have absolutely no answer for it.
No, I'm not saying that. Yeah. That's what, but I seen other judges explain. Mm-hmm. Well, you know, this is the way I look at it. And they tell you, and I seen you doing it. I said, you know, I told you 3 times, you've been here 5 times. For the last 3 times I've been telling you, if you don't do this, you have to have it done. You know, and explain why. And we're talking about days, only days in prison. But when you tell somebody 35 years in prison, and that person...
Like I said, we don't have a perfect system, but we have the best in the world. And it's not going to be without mistakes.
No, the best in the world is in Cuba.
Oh, stop.
They kill you, and then you cannot...
And then they ask questions, and you're good.
Yeah,
but I can tell you that as far as the judicial system goes here, I don't think any judge ever wakes up and says, you know, today I think I'm going to do something stupid. I just don't think they do that. I think judges wake up and say, please, let me do what's right today. And it doesn't mean we always make the right decisions. But no judge goes out there and says, I feel like making a bad decision today. We don't. We go out there and say, we want to do what's right. It doesn't mean we're always right. But I can tell you we want to do what's right based on our experience and our knowledge. Why a judge doesn't explain why he does one thing or another, I don't know. He may have some great reasons. I just know at my level, we like people to understand why we come up with the decision we come up with.
Yeah.
And so I can't answer, and I understand the frustrations, but I believe that you really have to be an evil person if you don't wake up in the morning and try and do what's right when you get up there. And I just don't think we have that. I think that we try and do what's right. Doesn't mean we're right, and it doesn't mean, I'm only as smart as I'm going to be. I'm not going to be any smarter.
So you don't think judges make a decision based on who the defense attorney is, or?
I would hope not. I would hope not. I would hope they make decisions based on what's right. I can only tell you what's in my brain, and I can tell you that I don't care if you're a prosecutor or defense attorney. I vote, I rule the way that I think is appropriate, and I would hope that that's what we would get. And just like everybody else, there's good judges, there's bad judges, and there are some judges that people may believe because the tendency of their voting or their rulings that there may be favoritism, but I would hope not. And that's about the best I'm going to get you, is I know that I go in there and I do what's right in my mind. It may not always be what's right.
What do you think about the new marijuana laws, Judge?
I think it's going to cause me a lot of problems because I do a drug court. But I think it's going to cause the DUI laws a lot of problems. And here's the issue I have with the marijuana laws. It's not like you can always smell the marijuana, because they now have edibles. So you have gummy bears, you have ice cream, you have this, so you can't smell it.
Oh, really?
Yes, they have.
It's not like it used to be.
It's not like you got to smoke it and you got that
No.
stink. So many more. Right? There's so many ways to ingest it, and so.
I'm getting old, man.
Now remember, my duty is to follow the law, and so if the voters rule that it's going to be legal, then it's going to be legal. We go with it. However,
Do you agree with making it legal?
I don't think I'm allowed to have an opinion on that.
No?
I don't think, I'm just, if it's in front of me. Now remember,
Well,
I have cases where I order no alcohol.
questions.
I order no alcohol, I order no illegal substances. Now I'll say no alcohol, no marijuana, no illegal substances. And I'll just throw that out there for certain people. I think as a community, we're not sure what the impact's going to be. I think we have enough problems where I have my kids who where it's illegal are smoking, pot at 11 and 12 when they work their way to our system. I can't imagine where it's more accessible.
Who have the drug court and justice court?
It is now Judge Cruz.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's Cynthia Cruz, and then Escobar is the one in district court now.
Isn't Linda Bell?
No, Linda Bell.
Oh, no, she has veterans.
She was hit by a car and she had some issues, so they had someone else take it over. But Linda's much better now and she's healthy. But it's one of those courts where you have to be on top of all the time. So I believe it's Adrian Escobar in district court, and I believe it's Cynthia Cruz in
Do
justice.
you work together with them?
We tried to. As a matter of fact, when I was in the elevator on my way down here, Judge Cruz stopped me and she says, "Oh yeah, by the way, I got to talk to you next week. I want a kid I want you to help me with because he's 18 and you got someone with one of my kids up there too." And so what we do is we work together and we try and consolidate some cases so we can work. But it really is one of those things where the interest here is problem solving. We all believe what's best is to get the person out of the system, keep them alive, and keep them healthy. And that's a big shift from 20 years ago. We were problem solvers. This is the penalty, this is the crime, we're done.
Yeah.
And then they come back, this is the crime, this is the penalty. Today we say, okay, here's the crime. Is there any way we can stop this? And what can we do? And if we can't, eventually we have to keep the community safe. And unfortunately, that's by way of incarceration. But we're in municipal court, we're firm believers that there's other ways to keep the community safe outside of jail. And that means rehabilitation, and that means recovery. And that's where we are in municipal court. That's why we have drug courts, DUI courts, our veterans court. Probably one of the things that's needed most in this community.
Why is the need for different type of courts? A judge that is elected to be a judge cannot handle a veterans or
remember they're
domestic violence.
Remember they're different, and these are problem-solving courts. They're just, and they need different treatments with regards to sentencing. For veterans court, you really have to understand PTSD. You have to know a lot about that. And so you want someone who's considered an expert in that area. Not all judges, I'm not an expert in trauma. And so you give me cases with trauma, I may be causing more damage than good. Because like you said, I'm mean.
How can you be no expert in drama? Are you a Filipino descent?
So just for that, I should understand drama.
They are like Cubans. They drama is their last name.
But yeah, so I'm an expert in addiction. I'm an expert in adolescence, and so I understand a lot better how to deal with an 18 to 24-year-old. While Judge Leung understands much better how to deal with a female with trauma. Judge Hastings understands how to deal with PTSD and how to deal with veterans much better. He's the Veterans Court judge, and we go to treatment, we go to education, and so we are nonstop trying to keep on top of the most recent studies and the recent areas. And so, yeah, we can all do that, but will we be as effective? If that's the question, is to be effective, we really need to have specialties. It's kind of like you don't want a general doctor doing a heart surgery.
No, of course, yeah.
Right? So if you're dealing with kids with 18 and 24 with addiction, you want somebody who specializes with 18 and 24 with addiction. And so that's what it's about. It's about specialties. Remember, the long run goal
I've been very critical
is to get them out.
Why do we need a special course? And now,
because
you answer my question.
Studies show that they're much more successful. To begin with, once you have someone in drug court, you save anywhere from $3 to $15 the taxpayer money.
And that's all they do, that type of court, or they take other cases?
We handle other cases too.
But
we still have to specialize in this one area.
Right.
But we do our own caseload.
Do you have a specific day of the week for that
Thursdays.
court?
I do mine Thursdays. Everybody has a specific day. That's the day they do their specialty court. We have a team that's dedicated solely for the specialty court. You should come visit me someday. Come watch it.
I don't have a problem with drugs.
Come watch the kids.
Watch the kids. I know. I've been there.
But,
I was going to go there yesterday, but I was so sick. You have something.
So you're really sick and you're next to me?
Yeah.
Oh, well, thank you. We've been friends for a long time, and you can tell because he's really mean.
That's right.
Any other buddy rips me like this?
Yeah. I have a lot of respect for this man.
Yes.
A lot of respect, and I think we are very lucky. Most of the judges in Munich Court are very, very dedicated individuals. Then they put the job very serious. I can be wrong, but that's the way I look at it. And believe me, I've been covering the courthouse for 20 years before you start being a judge.
Yeah, it's been a while.
Actually, I think it was the same time when you was running for judge. That's how I met Judge Brown.
Well, Judge Brown became a judge a year after I did, or maybe 2 years after I did. I was 97, he was 99.
Judge Brown, he went with Oscar Goodman to the gay community. And I said, wow, this guy is gay. I didn't know that.
I'm going to tell you said that.
I told him. And then I see Oscar, and I said, well, I know Oscar is not. I said, no, it's political. And then I find out that he was running for judge, because I didn't know, I knew his father.
He is, on a side note, I can tell you he's been one of my best friends since he took the bench. Judge Brown has just been absolutely terrific, and what's really important as a judge, you have a judge you can lean on.
Yeah.
Because we come up with different decisions, and if you don't have another judge where you can come to, and you want to make sure that the judge is intelligent, because you don't want to go to one who's going to give you bad advice. And so we become the best of friends in the last 18 years. Because we have different opinions and we have different styles. And so when we talk, we can respect how different we are.
But life changed, and believe me, 20 years ago, people was not that open about the gay community or anything. You see one of those people in the gay, right there on Sahara Avenue, I don't know what you call them, but they were there. And then, I don't know if I went there with Oscar or Oscar was there already, because I went with Oscar to another place when he was running for mayor the first time. And actually, Tom Leticia was...
with Oscar, he's Oscar's.
Yeah.
Things have changed a lot in the community in 20 years.
Yeah.
Everything in general. When I came here in 84, there was no paved roads after Rainbow, or maybe Decatur. But once you got out there, all there was is dirt.
Yeah.
And so things have changed so much. And
And that's why I tell people, Las Vegas to me is all the way to Rainbow, to Baldwin Highway, Lake Mead, and Tropicana. Don't take me out of that.
And everything else.
Everything else is not good for me. And that's, I always been very, very fond of Judge Brown, and because his father is such a I don't know how he's doing health-wise now, but he is, and it's funny because Oscar and him was in an opposite team, and then the last time that Bird had a fundraising at Pierrot, Oscar was there, and I got a picture of the four of them,
It's a big community, but it's a small community.
Yeah.
It still is.
And I think people don't hold grudges that much.
I don't know. I just know that it's still a great community. I can think of no place I'd rather live than Las Vegas.
Oh no, me neither.
The best part about it is you don't have to visit your friends.
That's right.
They can visit you.
Wonderful. That's right. Just have a spare room. That's all you need.
And sometimes they don't even want to stay with you. They want to stay on the strip. And so you just have to go visit them there for a few. And you're like, oh, okay, but I get the call all the time. We're coming to Vegas.
Yeah.
So they come visit.
I know it used to be worse.
You don't have to babysit people in this city. They go.
No,
they want to go to Vegas.
They don't want you to babysit.
They don't want you to.
They may want to see you for dinner, and they're like, okay,
That's
you're
right.
going to go do
I know, but it wasn't that way before.
Yeah.
People used to come to Vegas. Hey, I'm coming to Vegas. And no, I don't like to have company in my house.
That's because you're just getting ornery.
What does that mean?
Ornery? Look it up.
Speaking.
Ornery means you're getting old and.
All right.
Is he gonna stay for your show?
I don't. If he wants to, I have a guest coming over.
Oh, you have?
He's more than welcome.
No.
He's more than welcome. He's more than welcome.
No, that's fine.
Absolutely.
That's fine. It's okay. We can.
We're coming to
how much we got? 2 minutes?
No.
Wrap it up? Oh, okay.
You coming?
Judge Cedric Kerns, thank you for being here today. And Merry Christmas.
Thank you for having me, and everybody, please have a safe.
And I tell
great
you what
holidays.
I like to do is I want to get some of your signs, and we put them in here. Even I try not to put signs from anybody because we're supposed to be equal to everybody, but you are an exception of the rule.
Well, I think you should have an exception for family, and I think I probably fit in there.
Yes.
So we're good.
Okay. And then you can put one in my house,
And
None of our
I
business.
and you can put one in his business.
Absolutely. Yep.
And we need to push. We need to make sure that you stay.
well, and thank you.
It's too early to talk about any
Filing's
competition.
not till next month, but I'm
Yeah.
getting geared up. And I'll tell you
You might
something.
not even have anybody
Yes.
running, so that's better yet.
They're telling us wrap it up.
All right, we're coming to the end of the show today. We are so blessed today. Thank you for watching Face the Tribune with the legendary Rolando Larraz. We had first Chief Judge Cedric Kerns in the day. It was such a blessing. We learned so much from him. Watch us later on YouTube. The show will be up all on the internet. You can watch it all over the country. And again, we will be back 12 to 1 o'clock, Face the Tribune, streaming live on radiotribune.com. God bless America. God bless our troops. And have a merry, safe Christmas.